What are you still mad about? Game of Thrones S8. It just seems worse and worse as more BTS decisions come to light. I was extremely disappointed, but I only started watching GOT last year. I can't imagine how I'd feel if I spent 8 years as a fan and watched it end like that. How about reading the first book in 1996, the most recent book in 2011 and still not having the 6th book released? The first episode of Game of Thrones aired before the release of the most recent book. There was a time when George said Winds of Winter would release next year, and then each year it became next year. He seems so annoyed with his fans that he said he wouldn't make any release announcements anymore. It doesn't seem like he's made any progress in years now. Perhaps he has writer's block. Maybe he's written such a complex story with so many characters and story arcs that he doesn't know how to realistically finish it and do the entire story justice. I honestly think we will never get either of the last 2 books released. That's why reading books is a bad idea. A couple of years ago, my family went to Mickey's Halloween party. We also brought my 10-year-old daughter's best friend along for our trip. I was pregnant, so most of the rides were a no-go. So my husband had scheduled special dinners, since food and atmosphere were what I was limited to. It was a big trip for us. We saved for a long time to make it happen. We did the Halloween dinner at the Blue Bayou, and part of it was this dark chocolate brownie with a raspberry sauce, and the hitchhiking ghosts were on a piece of white chocolate. My daughter got the same meal I did, and she had finished her brownie and I hadn't started on mine, and she looked me dead in the eye and smashed her hand into my brownie and squeezed it through her fingers. She apologized later and said she has no idea why she did that. She just wanted to know what it felt like to squish it, but didn't mean to actually go through with it. I'm still upset when I think about it. I really wanted that brownie. When I was in 3rd form British year 9, I had just moved to a new school. In the first term, a girl I found annoying and did not know at all ended up dying suddenly of a brain issue. Her death was announced to everyone in the year and I did not care and felt nothing. I just went about my normal day. Then, at the end of a French lesson before lunch, the teacher asks us to stand for 2 minutes of silence. Okay, fine. I check my watch briefly as I stand to see what time it is. Half an hour later, I'm considered a monster by my year and the year above because someone spread the rumor that I was checking my watch multiple times during the silence. The same guy who did that later punched me in class, and the teacher, who was facing the other way at the time, would not believe me and said that she had been watching the whole time. With what? The eyes in the back of your head? Tot. I was apartment shopping with my wife in the town where my new job was taking us, being led about by a rental company rep named Todd. I was about to start a position at a computational electromagnetics company using my physics degree. As we drive around, he's telling us how great this town is, when he says our insert name of town here is an island of culture in a place where 80% of the population hunts. I've been a hunter since I was 12 and learned to shoot when I was 6. My whole family hunts. I was none too pleased with actually being, albeit unintentionally, called a barbarian. I still occasionally and just shake my fist at the sky and shout Todd. It has been about 3 years. Todd and Aunt Kay should probably get together. That my brother Con bullied, emotionally blackmailed my dad into spending over tens of thousands of pounds on his farm in the couple of years before my dad died. My brother knew he was inheriting the farm and went on and on and on about how he would struggle financially and how solar panels would help until dad to install them and put in new heating and bought extra fields. Then the day before my dad died at home, I found him giving his wife's family a tour of the house and showing them what he was going to change. I hate him for it, but almost the last thing my dad said to me was, "It's up to you to keep the family together." So I've never challenged him about his behavior or the lies he's told people since. Really upsets me 3 years later. I can't believe you still consider him family. That I made it to the final 2 for a very good marketing job in a hiring process with WWE 6 years ago, only 4 at the final hour. When they made their decision, a former employee got wind of the job and just texted the hiring manager, and both of us were out. I've been in a couple of those interviews where it was clear the fix was in. Once applied for a state agency job where they gave me the questions beforehand and during the interview just quickly asked me the same questions with no follow-up, and they were clearly disinterested in anything I had to say. Got out of there in under 30 minutes. Didn't get an offer and frankly didn't want one after that interview. I graduated in 2008, in the middle of that recession. There were no jobs available because I was magically overqualified with my college degree and underqualified with no experience. I got one interview and I was perfect for the job, but the employer said that I lived too far away. The commute would have been an hour and 10 minutes. But I was willing to move because I had just finished school and there was nothing keeping me in my college town. The interviewer just kept shaking his head saying that's too far of a drive. Dude, fucking listen to me. It would have been an awesome job. After going no contact for 4 years from a toxic family, a relative passed on my number to my narc brother, who let me know by text me that my possessive father was about to die. I received that joyous text on the day I had moved house, and at that point, I hated mobile phone technology. News of my father's death 10 days later impacted me to the point of causing me to underperform in a new job, and I was fired by email when I was off sick with stress. I've been trying to recover ever since and still not back into my career. Utter runts. Who? Carried all of them. When I was 10 I had a girlfriend for about a year. We were in a good place, but then she went to Australia for a month. A 10-year-old boy has his needs, so, to cope with the gap left behind, while she was away I started hugging this other girl. When my girlfriend got back she caught wind of this, and sent my best friend, to ask me which of the two I preferred, my girlfriend or the other girl. After much deliberation I said, that I liked the other girl more. I then watched as he walked to my nearby girlfriend, and told her my response. I'm still mad at this betrayal to this day. She said that I'm wonderful, great looking, intelligent and one of the kindest people she met, someone really special, that I make her laugh, and that she enjoys spending every time with me. She always tried to get close to me and touch me, she was cuddling with me, tries to get on every photo I was in, danced with me all night, slept in my bed, and wanted to lie in my arms. When I asked her if there is a potential for a relationship after all of that she told me that she doesn't see it like that and that she has probably sent some wrong signals. What's wrong with some people? When I was at university my sister's school had a fundraising thing where they accepted donations for them to sell off in a car boot sale. My mum gave away my entire book collection without letting me know. This included a book that my granddad gave to me when I turned 15 where he wishes me the best, a couple from teachers after I left their class and a few that I exchanged with friends. When I graduated secondary school we gave each other a copy of some of our favorite books. I know I'm a nerd, I only found out months later with no way to track them down. When I was younger and played Pokemon Ruby, my mom wanted to catch the legendary. She had helped me a lot in the game, since English is not my first language, plus I was around 6 and trash at playing video games. Groudon. I damaged to where the HP bar would go red, and you had a slight chance of catching it, and it happened. She used an attack and it died. Maybe I should mention that this was before I knew that you could save just before a big fight. So I had not saved for hours, and was not able to restart the battle. Like, 6 years ago I was on vacation, and had my oldest cousin pet sit my cats. We were only on vacay for 2 weeks. When we came back, she clearly didn't go in the house. The food and water bowls were completely empty, the litter boxes weren't cleaned, etc. And when I confronted her about it, her response? Oh, I forgot. It's not that big of a deal anyway. I understand it's kind of petty to still be mad about this, but I love my cats, okay? 9 years ago my now wife came to my place for the second time and dipped her spoon into my tiramisu after refusing her portion. How is she still your wife after this? Desserts are one of the trickiest things to navigate in a marriage. If my wife declines to order a dessert, then she eats most of mine. And if I decline a dessert because I'm full, she expects me to eat most of hers. It's the Kobayashi Maru. Solution: you need the Kobayashi Takaru. The ending of Stargate Universe. I can't believe it's been 8 years since the last Stargate episode aired. It's such a good franchise I can't figure out why we haven't gotten anything new. MGM went bankrupt, and they refused to sell the show to Joe Flanagan. On a similar note, the lack of an end of Dollhouse. It was like SGU, in that it started off a bit lackluster in the first season, but was getting amazing when they suddenly pulled the plug. My holographic Charizard. I was so excited when I got it and couldn't wait to show it off at school the next day. Then, about halfway through the day, it goes missing. I looked everywhere and I could not find it and was super bummed out. The very next day this kid Marcelo shows up with his own Charizard, and even though I couldn't prove it was mine, I knew it was. The timing was just too convenient that I lost mine and then he gets one. When I was in 5th grade, I was one of the tallest kids and looked sort of out of shape. There was a kid that was maybe my size, but scrawnier and kept sucker punching me randomly in the halls. Little did he know I was actually very built. This time, I was having a bad day, and after he came at me I whipped around and clocked him square in the face. Principal found out and only I was in trouble after hearing the entire case. My sister, brother and me plan a trip to Japan. I'm no social media lady, so when they talked online, I got the information very late. Then cancelled the trip. My sister went to Japan with her boyfriend instead, and my brother stayed home. I did not know after they had bought tickets and booked a hotel without telling me about the huge change in the plan. I stayed at home. I'm still salty about it. A non-profit negotiated with the city to rent a piece of city-owned real estate. For 3 months they wouldn't budge a penny, and our organization folded because we couldn't find a home for our equipment. Had to sell off a lot of stuff. After 9 months of being empty, they gave it to a similar group for free and paid for the renovations. It's 7 months later, and they still haven't opened their doors. Just about to finish up my first year teaching as a full-time, and my English scores were lower than they should have been because I didn't think I had a curriculum to follow. 2 days left, and I'm organizing my room. Didn't have time last year because I got the job the day before school started and found my curriculum mixed in with some other things that I would have found if I took a weekend to organize. Oops. My dad always harassed me for not liking watermelon. He called me picky. I was one of the most open-minded kid eaters ever. I ate everything put in front of me. My dad would not eat squash. The hypocrisy. I love watermelon when it's fresh and crunchy, but I can't stand it when it starts to go all mushy around the seeds. I'm getting a hankering for some watermelon now though.